All right, welcome to the show, Fifth Street Soccer here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, SB Nation Radio. I'm Nick Geber. It's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be with you. I am always looking forward to bringing you the weekend of football. Of course, I don't do it alone. I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Mr. Nick Webster. Nick, we've had a absolutely terrific weekend of football and a week of football behind us, including some really exciting Champions League semi-finals. We're going to touch on that a little bit, but we do have a full slate of matches to look forward to in the Premier League.
Oh, it's been a bumper week of football as always, and I see you're proudly sporting your Istanbul 2005 top, Mr. Geber.
Well, that's right. Well, that's right, Nick. And I have to tell you that, you can see this Liverpool, Istanbul 2005. This shirt has never been worn. I actually bought this shirt after the incredible come-from-behind victory in the Champions League final, and I've never worn it, and I thought I would break it out for the show today, just in celebration of what was an absolutely incredible Champions League semi-final first leg. Keep in mind, it is just that, just the first leg. The second leg is still to come, and Roma with 2 away goals. Well, they could make it very exciting, but Nick, we got lots of time to get to that. But I am glad that you noticed the shirt. Thank you.
Well, when you said it had never been, and I was expecting you to say never been washed since 2005 when you were down the cock and bull and everyone had thrown 10 pints on you as Liverpool's remarkable comeback. It must be a bit whiffy by now.
No, it was actually brand new, Nick. I bought it right after the fact. I broke it out of the plastic after the incredible weekend, the incredible result this week. I thought we might just do it. We are going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Champions League. All right, let me put it out there. It's Twitter. It's at Fifth Street Sports. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Fifth Street Sports Talk. You can watch this live video stream. If you're listening to it on the radio, you can actually watch this live at youtube.com/Fifth Street Sports. So many ways that you can interact with us, and we would absolutely love for you to do that because that's what makes this show so interesting. Of course, we're going to give you all of our picks and values for the upcoming weekend in the Premier League, so you want to be sure to stay with us here. We are going to have to step aside and take a break. I want to take this opportunity, though, to welcome to the show all of our listeners listening on the American Forces Network. It is always such a privilege to be speaking to our men and women in uniform around the world listening on that very network. All right, I'm Nick Webster. He's Nick Geber. We're going to step aside, take a break, be right back after this. All right, folks, so welcome back. Fifth Street Soccer, Sports Byline USA, SB Nation Radio. Nick Geber and Nick Webster with you. We are coming to you live on the radio. We're coming to you live on youtube.com/Fifth Street Sports. It's always such a pleasure and a privilege to speak with you as we do each and every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. That's 4 p.m. Eastern time by my mathematical calculations. That's right, Nick. Thank you for putting up the fingers so we can all see it. Right, we talked a little bit before the break about the incredible week's Champions League semi-finals. Saw Liverpool coming and winning a 5-2 victory at Anfield against Roma. And Nick Webster, it wasn't just, let's put it this way, I think at the end of the match, Liverpool supporters left feeling a little queasy because what had been 5-0 and really pretty much a ticket punch, I believe it's to Kiev, isn't it, this year? It just... Nostrovia. It just got a little bit squeaky bum time, and it still is. 2 away goals. If Roma score 3 unanswered goals back in Italy, and they have done this, they did this against Barcelona, that's they're the ones going to drink some vodka.
To be honest with you, Nick, I thought the Liverpool performance was one of the most exhilarating performances I've ever seen by an English team in the European Cup / Champions League. There is no way that Roma can keep Liverpool out for 90 minutes in the Stadio Olimpico, even if they put all 70,000 supporters in their defensive goal. This game should have been 10-0 before Roma got their 2 consolation goals. So for all you Liverpool people, I know you're going to like this. You're going to like this. Wait for it. Calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down. You're already in the final.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, it's never done until the final whistle is blown, but it certainly looks that way. Let's talk a little bit about the other semi-final because, that was an absolutely cracking match as well because Bayern Munich were the favorites coming into this match. By the way, I bet Real Madrid, and I think I got plus 126 or 156 on them. Can you believe that? That was an absolute choke fest from Bayern Munich, who looked old and slow, and Real Madrid took advantage of it. But Nick, one of the things that really struck me about this match when I watched it, after having watched the Liverpool match the day before, the entire thing seemed to be taking place in slow motion. Didn't you get that impression as well?
No, I did. I was talking to a colleague of mine who's also a coach, and we said, you know what, Bayern Munich look very tidy, but what they lack is some cutting edge. And Real Madrid actually look really ordinary, except they have these match winners who have the habit of popping up like rabbits out of a hole. So if I was a Liverpool fan watching Bayern against Real Madrid, I'd be thinking to myself, here's number 6 coming up. But obviously, in a one-off game, and especially I would imagine Real Madrid are going to beat Bayern Munich. They just have so many unbelievable match winners. But what I am looking forward to, should it pan out that way, how about this for a 1v1 Mo Salah versus Cristiano Ronaldo?
Yeah, it's a very delicious matchup, isn't it? Any way you look at it.
Joseph.
Salah is right now the best player in world football. Now, I'm not saying that he is the best player in the world. Right now, in current form, he is the best player in world football. I don't think there's any denying that, Nick.
I will not deny it, Mr. Geber. He is the best player right now. And this is we talk about world football. And we look at the world and getting a bit off topic, but there's 7 billion people on this planet, and Mo Salah is the best one at playing football right now. That is such a mind-boggling thing to think about.
Yeah, it really is. He is some player to watch. It's not just Salah though. I mean, it's the front three of Liverpool create such problems with their speed, with their single touch, with their ability to cut the strike from any angle. You got Mane with his strength. You got Firmino, who can score from any angle himself, but who's really turning out to be a wonderful playmaker and disher of the ball. To Salah, who seems to have that Messi-like ability to sort of get the ball in the back of the net from whichever way he's facing and wherever he is. It's fascinating to watch. And look, we can ask ourselves, is this sort of a flash in the pan, and is this a sort of season where all the chemistry comes together and it's struggles going on and on, or is this something that's going to build for the future? That's a question for another time. Just got to enjoy the moment. I think Liverpool are looking very good to make a serious run at number 6. I'm not saying they're going to win it. I'm just saying I think you've got to look at them, and when we look at the odds as we get closer to it, I would be surprised if the odds showed them as any sort of a massive underdog here against Real Madrid.
Yes, they're certainly not going to be an underdog against Real Madrid, and they're going to be a massive favourite this weekend against Stoke City. Stoke City will be underdogs, and I think for many of us out there who like a flutter or two, the question is this: will there be a letdown for Liverpool at Anfield? And the one fear that I have for Liverpool this weekend, Nick, is that it's a 12:30 kickoff, and these 12:30 kickoffs at Anfield have been notorious for providing an atmosphere of a funeral, perhaps. And Stoke in desperate need of points, but Liverpool with so much confidence right now. If I'm a gambling man, I'm sort of afraid of touching this one because, my head says Liverpool should wipe the floor with them, but my heart says, maybe there is going to be a letdown of sorts, and it might not be the extravagant football. And maybe Klopp, for once in his life, thinks to himself, you know what, Stoke are a bit of a hard team. I might rest Mo, I might rest Bobby, and I'll just let Mane run around.
Yeah, give Danny Ings more time up there, Nick Webster. That's something certainly he could look for. I actually agree with you. I'm not sure that they're going to risk too much. And if Salah does start and he puts one in the back of the net, he's going to come off very quickly thereafter. This match is fascinating only because Stoke need the points. Liverpool are looking for that Champions League finals to come. Obviously, they still got one more semi to get to. If you look at the numbers here, Nick, I don't see Stoke winning this match. I don't see a West Brom Man United surprise here, and that's plus 935. Liverpool are a minus 294 favourite to win. There's no value there, folks. There's zero value there because there's a good chance they might not win this match. The over-under is 3. I don't think we're going to make the over 3. I'd say maybe the under. The draw is plus 462, Nick. And if I were going to wager anything on this match, I might be tickled to put a little bit in on the draw or a little bit in on a low-scoring Liverpool win. I would probably do one of the two. How do you see it? The same way?
Well, I do see it the same way. You know, I was really stunned last weekend when Liverpool were 2-0 up against West Brom with 10 minutes to go. We'd called the under. I mean, really, in most games of modern football, it's game over. Liverpool shut the door and the game ends 2-0. Thank you very much. That's 3 points. But, you know, they did take their eye off the ball. They did have some unused players, Moreno, for one, who's an absolute donkey, come in. And all of a sudden, West Brom banged in 2 goals in quick succession. And Liverpool stubbed their toe, to be honest with you, by only leaving the Hawthorns with 1 point. I don't see it happening again at Anfield. I do see the Liverpool win. But like you, I think I would be very wary about this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the over on this one. And if they do knock in a boatload of goals, then Stoke are just providing absolutely no opposition at all. That's not in the Stoke mentality, honestly. As much as they are struggling, I don't see that happening, Nick. I just don't see that happening. This is one to be wary of. The Stoke aren't going to win this. They may draw it. If you just want to put a little bit of your bankroll on that, maybe a little bit there. There's very little value in a Liverpool win on this one. So that's our take. Now, keep in mind, though, Stoke haven't won at Anfield in 54 matches, Nick. So I don't see Stoke winning there this weekend.
No, I don't see them winning there either. But you know what? The blind squirrel does find a nut every now and again.
Wasn't it? I said a broken clock is right twice a day when I made the West Brom call. All right, Nick. Well, let's put that one aside. We're going to have to step aside, take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to start rolling through these matches, folks. Next up, it's Burnley versus Brighton Hove Albion. I've got my predictions on that. Should be a fairly interesting game. All right, we're going to take a break. Nick Geber and Nick Webster here. This is Fifth Street Sports Soccer. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Fifth Street Sports Talk. Find us on Twitter at Fifth Street Sports. And you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Fifth Street Sports Talk. We're going to take a break. Be right back after these messages. All right, welcome back to the show, Fifth Street Sports Soccer. Oh, love doing this show. I'll be so sad when the Premier League is over, but it does mean that we got a European Cup final, we got some Europa League action, and we didn't really talk much about that. And, of course, getting ready for the World Cup. Bring my co-host in, Mr. Nick Webster. Nick, before we get to the next match, which is Burnley-Brighton, I want to talk a little bit about the picks I made yesterday, for the Europa League semi-finals. I had Marseille winning. I had them winning on the over. They did win. They didn't make the over, which was 3 goals. But I had Arsenal winning on the over against Atletico Madrid. And Arsenal went up 1-0, and then Atletico had the player sent off, whether you think that was a good call or a bad call. I want to point out, and I was saying this to a friend of mine when that happened, I said, I don't think, he looked at me and said, oh, that's great. It looks like you're going to, your bet's going to get past the finish line. I said, I don't think so. Because what's now going to happen is Atletico don't have to win this game. They just have to not lose it, and they have to score an away goal if they can. So now they're absolutely motivated to pack everybody behind the ball, to challenge Arsenal to be creative, which they're not really a very creative team, to break them down, and then hit them on the counterattack. And you know what? That's exactly what happened, Nick. I think if that had stayed 11-on-11, Arsenal would have won probably 2-0 or 3-1.
Yes, red cards really have an amazing effect on the game. And of course, when you go down to 10 players and you're on the road in a European semi-final, the immediate reaction is to pack it in at the back. And you're talking about an Atletico Madrid team that is absolutely sensational defensively. If you go to their home ground, they've kept 13 consecutive clean sheets. So it doesn't look good for the Gunners going back to Madrid next week. I think the red card, you mentioned it, I think it was very, very harsh. A little unlucky for Diego Simeone's team, but I'm sure they're going to do the business back in Madrid. But Arsenal, they do love stubbing themselves in the toe, don't they?
They do. So, Nick, are you suggesting you think Arsenal are going to win in Madrid? Because I certainly don't think so.
I have seen Arsenal perform miracles in Europe. So I am not discounting them out. I could possibly see them nicking this one 2-1 on the night, which would be enough to give Monsieur Wenger the dream matchup.
Wait, Nick, hold on. You said you're used to seeing Arsenal perform miracles in Europe. When exactly was the last time they won any European silverware exactly, Nick, to really provide the miracle?
We're talking, the Cup Winners' Cup about 1 billion years ago. No, I do remember them going to Madrid, probably about
1873.
And nicking a 1-0 thanks to Thierry Henry.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, they don't have the types of play, those types of game-changing players, really.
They don't have TH14 anymore.
No TH14, mate. All right, let's move off of that, shall we? And let's go to Burnley versus Brighton. We'll get off those heady European nights and we'll go to Burnley, where they're going to be hosting Brighton Hove Albion, Nick Webster. This is an interesting game, except that Brighton don't score on the road. They've only got 9 goals in 16 matches, and Burnley, they do win 41% of their games at home. Burnley having a better run of form than Brighton. Brighton been tough, not doing very well over the last 5. For me, Nick, especially given the fact that Brighton have the last 3 matches at Man United, Man City, and Liverpool, they are motivated to get something out of this match. But for my money, I don't like it. I'm going to take 2-0 Burnley, and I will say this at plus 121 and an over-under of 2. I think it's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, I really like the under in this one. Burnley are safe, and they're thinking about 7th spot, which if they get 3 points today, they will wrap up. Brighton, 36 points on the season, 7 points clear of the relegation zone. You mentioned their run-in, which is quite fearsome. I think they need to get something out of this game. I like the 0-0 on this one. So if you fancy a slight little wager, go for the under and maybe take Brighton, because I think they are the dog by half a goal.
Nice. Well, I'm going for the under, and I'm going to say take Burnley. I think it's going to be 2-0 for Burnley. So we're going to agree to disagree on that one, Nick. We don't have to be kumbaya, holding hands and singing songs all the time. Clearly, that's not going to happen today.
Holding hands. I like when we hold hands. Anyway, let's move on. Crystal Palace against Leicester City.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace, I mean, just a roller coaster, and Leicester City have pissed me off, and I hate them.
Well, Leicester are 5-7 on the road. They really struggle heavily on the road, Nick. Both teams, they're only 1 goal per game on the road. Certainly for Leicester and Palace, they're not scoring really more than a goal a game at home. This looks like a bit of I'd say this was what's an opposite of a humdinger, Nick? A dingleberry? I think this is a dingleberry of a game. This is a 1-1 draw all the way for me. And the draw is plus 258. Some decent value there in it, Nick. So I say take the draw, plus 258. Don't be a numpty.
Don't be a numpty. I think that's got to be our cliche from now on. That's got to be our show logo. Don't be a numpty. Take the draw, 1-1, the under.
Yeah, you're agreeing on that one, 1-1. All right, Nick. Yeah. So maybe there is a little kumbaya singing together. We'll roast some marshmallows later. All right. Next one up is Huddersfield, Everton. Huddersfield in 16th place. They're not clear of the drop, obviously, so they're fighting for points. Everton in eighth place. And, surprisingly enough, they've only lost one in the last 5, Everton have. They are 2-6-9 away, which is really not really a very good result for them at all. They're very, very poor on the road. It's been at Goodison that they've managed to eke out sort of any points, Nick Webster. Huddersfield, they're winning about 35% of their games at home. I know percentages makes me sound like an NFL knob, but, all I can say is, for me, this is 1-0 Huddersfield. This is going to be under 2. I like it. Huddersfield at plus 163.
Well, Mr. Geber, did you fill out your Everton survey?
No, I did not.
Okay, so the survey was sent to all the Evertonian fans, and it was, is Sam Allardyce crap? Answer A.
Yes.
Answer B, Sam Allardyce really crap? And answer C, is Sam Allardyce really, really crap? Pick your poison. Now, they did get the big 1-0 over Newcastle on Monday Night Football, for those of you that like Monday Night Football. I actually think Everton are going to get a result at Huddersfield, so I am going for Everton, a 1-0. Definitely take the under, though, because these two teams couldn't score in a, what's the word?
Brothel. They couldn't score in a brothel, Nick Webster.
Couldn't score in a brothel.
So Everton plus 217, nice value there. I do see Huddersfield getting this one. So once again, Nick, we're at odds on this one, but that's what makes this show so fun.
I only come on this show for kumbaya.
Well, there's no kumbaya today, mate. None. All right, let's go. Next one. Let's go to Newcastle, shall we? It's Newcastle versus West Bromwich Albion, the team that is absolutely just god-awful, yet beats Manchester United and yet gets a result against Liverpool. God, you just don't know, do you? I mean, it's one of those absolutely crazy seasons, Nick. West Brom, they do have the 1 win, 2 losses, 2 draws in 5. Newcastle, though, look, let's be honest. Rafa Benitez has this team overperforming in my mind. I think he's shown what an absolute quality manager he is. I've always known about that since he was at Liverpool. Great man, great manager. Now, whether or not he's loved by the players is a different question. That was always the rub on him. But Newcastle certainly doing very well. Now, West Brom, Nick, only 9 goals away on the season. I don't see them winning this match, because Newcastle are going to come out to play him. West Brom, I think, will get up for the big matches. They're basically relegated. They're not statistically there yet, but if they lose this one, they will be. And Nick, I predict Newcastle will win this one 3-0. It is minus 117. They will make the over. So that's my pick for this. Newcastle 3-0. Take the over at and Newcastle money line minus 117.
Check out Nick Geber with the champagne football for the Magpies. Well, you have to say, though, if you look at West Brom's last 2 results, beaten United, tied Liverpool, you know why they're playing well? Because the pressure is off. They know they are going down. They are going to give Newcastle a game, and I believe they are the underdog by -1. I would, if I was a gambling man, maybe put a few bob on West Brom.
Nick,
not a win, but with the goal.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think West Brom are lackluster, and I think they've met teams that feel that they're at the top of the league as they are, and that this team at the bottom, this absolute crap team, isn't going to beat them. And I think as a result, they've left themselves open to those surprise results. Newcastle aren't going to make that mistake, Nick Webster, because it's journeyman football in that part of the table. No one's taking anything for granted there. All right, tell you what, Nick, we are going to have to go to break here in just a moment. Before we do, I just want to tease the next one. It's Southampton, Bournemouth. This is a really, really important game for Southampton, Nick. I don't want to get into this too detailed, but they have been away for 4 of their last 5 matches. This is their return home. It should be a really interesting one, Nick. Give me 20 seconds on this.
Well, the South Coast Derby, I mean, it's going to be up for it. Southampton massively have to win this game. They've got a new manager, Mark Hughes. He hasn't given them the new manager bounce. If it doesn't happen this weekend, Southampton, they're going down.
Yeah, they are.
What do Liverpool do? Who are they going to steal players from?
All right. I heard that. All right, we got to go to break. We're going to do that here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, SB Nation Radio. This is Fifth Street Sports Soccer. Find us on Twitter at Fifth Street Sports. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Fifth Street Sports Talk. We're going to pay some bills and be right back after this. Oh, we welcome you back to Fifth Street Sports Soccer on the Sports Byline USA Network, SB Nation Radio. Geber and Nick Webster with you. By the way, we've had an absolutely terrific week of Champions League action where there's so much football to get to. We'll be bringing you all of the football every Friday right here on these very networks, and you can also see us online if you want at youtube.com/Fifth Street Sports. You can find us on Twitter at Fifth Street Sports. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Fifth Street Sports Talk. And of course, you can find us on the web at fifthstreetsports.com. So much football to get to as we're sort of winding down the Premier League, and I'm always sad when that happens. But there are just three or four matches left, depending on which team you follow. Or 2 or 3 matches left, really, depending on which team you follow. But we do have some semi-finals in the Champions League to finish off. We do have the semi-finals in the Europa League. We've obviously got Europa League finals and Champions League finals still to get to. And then, folks, we have a small thing called the World Cup happening throughout the summer. Big summer action. Nick Webster, my co-host, joins me again. We're back with Nick. Nick, I can't wait for the World Cup this summer, but it is interesting because there are some potential problems as some of the big stars that you're looking at, whether it's the Mo Salahs or the Ribéry's or the Cristiano Ronaldos, who play for their national team and are very influential players there, but who also play for their club teams and are prime drivers there. There's still a lot of matches left where all is on the table, where down for all the money. Sometimes you have to think injuries could be a concern, and fatigue as we get into the World Cup. We'll be doing some of that with our World Cup handicapping, right, Nick?
Well, I know for sure that there are some international managers who would love to get their stars, wrap them up very nicely in cotton wool, and put them to the side until mid-June. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen due to the fact that they have these Champions Leagues, they've got the Europa Leagues, and they have their domestic cups. So, you know what? For an international manager, it's just like, please, 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 don't get hurt.
Yeah. So, Nick, it's very, very early days still. And, of course, we haven't yet done our full handicapping for the World Cup. We have to really see what the final rosters look like, who's injured, who's not. By the way, some potentially huge injuries out there. I mean, Neymar's just coming off surgery, for example. That's one to look at, right, Nick? And a lot of others that are really potentially very influential players that have had big injury issues or just coming back from injuries might affect how we handicap the World Cup. Nick, early days, I'm looking, there could be some surprises from teams the likes of Portugal.
You know, you really like Portugal. I actually really like Belgium. A lot of their stars play in the Premier League, so I get the opportunity to see them play week in, week out. Belgium, don't be surprised if they make a nice run all the way to the semi-finals, unfortunately, at England's expense.
Yeah. England were the perennial world underachievers in world football. Look, we can have that discussion another day. And when we get into sort of the dog days of football, where we'll be after the World Cup, before the Premier League starts, and everyone here is lauding these great big money-spinning events like the International Champions Cup, where you're paying $400 a ticket to see a friendly game between Roma and Bayern Munich or whoever they're trotting out for this summer's money-spinning friendlies. Nick, that'll be a great time for us to sit down and really talk about a lot of the business side of football, which I really love to do. I know you do too.
Oh, yes. If you're familiar with the term mug punter, the International Champions Cup, it was made for you.
All right. Well, there's no mug punting going on right now with the big derby, Southampton, Bournemouth, South Coast derby, Nick. Southampton in 18th spot. They are fighting for their very lives, and they are in with a chance. Don't get me wrong. They are in with a chance. If they could nick 3 points here, they would really have a window of opportunity to get out of the relegation zone by stringing a couple more results together, Nick. They are playing a Bournemouth team that's in 11th spot, that's really safe, that's not necessarily playing for anything in particular. But for Southampton, they've had a horrible schedule of late. They've been on the road. 4 of the last 5 matches they've been on the road. They're coming home for this match, Nick. They are fighting, playing for everything they got. Bournemouth not great on the road, 3-6-8. Nick, I like Southampton for this one, 1-0. I think they're going to nick the points.
Kumbaya moment for the pair of us and Mr. Nick Geber. I actually like Southampton as well. It's going to be Mark Hughes, new manager bounce, 3 points for...
I lost you there, Nick. 3 points for Southampton?
Yes, 3 points for the Saints, definitely.
All right, 3 points for the Saints. Thank you. We did get you back there. And there's very good value on that. Well, not very good value on that, actually. They are the favourites at -137, Nick. They're favourites at -137. Let's move along, shall we? Swansea-Chelsea. That's next up on the chopping block for us. This one, to me, Swansea City in 17th spot. Also in that relegation dogfight going on right now. They've put together a string of 5 very disappointing results, although they did get 3 draws in that. Included in that is a 5-0 thumping they took at the hands of Manchester City. Nick, Chelsea have been really bad underachievers this year. There's no doubt about that. But I don't see any way Chelsea slip up here. I think, for my money, this is an away win. This is 2-1 Chelsea. The over-under's 2.5. I say take the over. Take Chelsea at -189. That's how I see this one, Nick. How see you?
Nicholas Geber, you are spot on the money here. This one is Chelsea all the way. There's no way Antonio Conte can leave Chelsea in the position he's left them without winning the FA Cup and making a decent run for 4th spot, because Tottenham are probably going to choke.
You say that, but you know, Tottenham have done the sort of anti-choke of late. Just when you think they're going to choke and die, they get up and prove there is life after death. All right, let's move along, shall we? Let's go to London, where West Ham United, the Hammers, will be hosting Manchester City. West Ham in 15th spot. They've had a string of let's just say uninspiring results of late. Manchester City, the steamroller continues despite their European disappointment, despite a couple of surprising results. But on the whole, Nick, 40 goals on the road for Man City, conceding only 12. They have an 82% win rate on the road. West Ham United, they have only scored about a goal and a quarter a game. They're 6-5-5 at home. Nick, this is City all the way, and it's 3-0. I'd take the over-unders 3. I'll take 3 goals. City, I don't know if you think there's value there at -303, though.
There's only one thing I'm taking in this game, Nick, and that is the over.
You're taking the over, right? Yeah, I'm with you. I think this match is essentially not worth spending any more time on. I don't really know how to put it that way, Nick. It's not that exciting because City are just in such fine form. And, you know, their players are playing to warm up really for the World Cup, to keep themselves hot for the World Cup, but they're playing for pride because the European disappointment, even though they won the Premier League, the disappointment of being knocked out of Europe is palpable because this team was put together, Nick, for success in Europe, wasn't it?
It was, and it's a big disappointment for Pep Guardiola to lose to the mighty Reds. But however, they are all about breaking records, and we've spoken about this before. The records they want to break are the ones held by a certain Jose Mourinho. Pep Guardiola is going to smash them all out of sight and pay for my bloody internet upgrade, if you ask me.
All right. Well, let's go to Old Trafford, man. Let's go to Old Trafford, where the Red Devils hosting the Gunners. Nick, this is the last time Arsene Wenger will be going to Old Trafford as the manager of Arsenal. Can he create a spoiler for the much-hated Jose Mourinho? Because Liverpool nipping at his heels for second spot. Arsenal, lackluster, horrible season they've had. The team is lacking in quality, lacking in managerial what shall we say, inspiration, Nick. It's tired, it's sad. Unfortunately, I don't really see Arsenal winning this. There's great value if they do, Nick Webster. Plus 728 for Arsenal. Can you remember a time when Arsenal were a plus 728 dog against Man United?
I mean, it really is quite shocking. It used to be back in the day that Manchester United versus Arsenal was the game of the season. Now it's just a game in the season. Take Manchester United.
Take Manchester United. I'm with you, Nick. The draw is plus 383, but I don't see that either, Nick. This is at Old Trafford. United come out to play, unless, of course, it's West Bromwich Albion. But look, I'm with you, Nick. This is a fairly simple match to call. This is Manchester United. The over-under's 3. That's the question. Nick, I don't know if I'd take the over on this. I think I'd probably take the under.
No, I think the under's a very good bet. I think Arsenal, they've shot their bowl. They had their little celebration for Wenger tonking West Ham United last weekend. Now it's back to business.
Right. So, Nick Webster, that's going to wrap up our Premier League predictions. There is a Monday match, but we're going to leave that one off. Unless, I tell you what, I don't have the odds on it. That's why there's no lines as of yet. It's Tottenham-Watford. Let me just give you one word. Tottenham. That's all you need to know on that one. So, you agree on that one, Nick?
Tottenham all the way. 3 points and Harry Kane back in the goals.
Right. So, folks, I've had a couple of people ask me if I'd bet and handicap Major League Soccer. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't watch Major League Soccer. Now, that's not because I'm a Euro snob or anything like that. I just like to watch the game at its highest level. I won't handicap the Egyptian leagues or the European league, the sort of Yugoslav, not that they're even around anymore. The Czech third division. There may be value there. Don't let my snobbery stop you from looking into it and seeing what the values are to bet. But for me personally, folks, that is not what I like to do. I like the game at its highest level. That's why I watch the Premier League. That's why I watch Serie A. That's why I watch La Liga, the Bundesliga, the Champions League, the Europa League. Maybe a little less so. That's why I like the NBA and I don't watch the WNBA. Nick, I know it's politically incorrect, and I don't know if we still have you. Do we still have you, Nick? No, we don't. We've lost Nick. Do we have you back, Nick?
Yes, unfortunately, my internet service is out of WNBA.
All right, well, I'm going to say goodbye to Nick Webster. Nick, we'll catch up with you next week. We're going to move along. He's having a lot of problems there. You did get all of our picks. But look, folks, that's my response to you. And it's not snobbery. It's not saying I haven't been to many Major League Soccer matches and enjoyed them, because I have. It's nothing wrong with the league, although I don't like the sort of parity aspect of it. But that is just me, folks. I'm not tainting the league or disrespecting anybody's league by focusing in on the leagues that I like. So please remember that. Look, I want to mention to you how you can get out and place a few bets yourself if that's what you want to do. Go to betneysports.eu. You can find that link by going to our website at www.fifthstreetsports.com. If you click on that link and go through and you put down just put some money in the account to bet, they'll give you a 50% bonus up to $1,000. That's a really good. That's free money for you to play with. Think about that. Free money. You're gonna add a third to your bankroll if you put in 1,000. Put in 1,000. You'll have 1,500 to play with. That's pretty good stuff. And you can take our picks or your own picks or however you want to do it, and have a great time with it. Do it responsibly, though, people. Enjoy it. Do it for a bit of fun. Think of it as spicing up some of your weekend's matches. All right, folks, we're going to step aside, take a break here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, SB Nation Radio. This is Fifth Street Soccer here. Once again, I'm with you every Friday from 1 p.m. Pacific time right here on this network. You can find us online at fifthstreetsports.com, and I'll take a break and be right back after this. All right, my friends, welcome back to the show, Fifth Street Soccer, Sports Byline USA, SB Nation Radio. Nick Geber with you. Probably haven't done that enough this show, and my apologies. It's been such an exciting week of football with the Champions League semi-finals that really have lived up to their expectation and their billing. It is the top level of world football you're seeing right now in the Champions League. The World Cup to come, we'll be covering that in detail here at Fifth Street Sports Soccer. If you go to Fifth Street Sports, if you go to our Facebook page or our website, look, we cover a lot of different sports. I happen to be the soccer specialist. We got guys that do baseball, we got guys that do basketball and hockey and boxing and e-sports, and all of that will give you sports talk you can bet on. That's the idea here at Fifth Street Sports. But of course, I do all the football. The World Cup is going to be a terrific event. It is the world's biggest sporting event. Happens once every 4 years, of course. It is the single most bet-on event in the history of the planet. So if you plan on doing a little betting, a little punting, a little prognosticating, now is the time. Make sure that you tune into this show, and you can find lots of picks and articles and things that we put up on our Facebook page, for instance, at facebook.com/Fifth Street Sports Talk. It all happens right there. Of course, we are also streaming this show live on YouTube. So if you'd like to see the video, it's a simulcast video radio show. You can do that by going to youtube.com/Fifth Street Sports. I'd like to thank my co-host, Nick Webster, who, for technical reasons, dropped out a little earlier. Nick and I have worked together for, nigh on 17, 18 years. That makes me sound old. Nigh on 17, 18 years. Starting together, colleagues at what used to be the old Fox Sports World, then became Fox Soccer, then just Fox Sports. We've been working together for many, many years. Nick is a man of great knowledge in the game, not just as a pundit and a prognosticator, but also as a coach, and it is always great to have Nick's insight. All right, folks, it's going to wrap up the show for us today. Once again, Fifth Street Sports will be on tomorrow, Saturday, at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, SB Nation Radio. We'll spend 2 hours covering everything. We'll be doing, we'll talk about the NFL draft. We'll talk about the basketball playoffs, the hockey, everything, baseball, you name it. We're going to cover it all, and we'll be right there to bring it all there for you. So be sure to tune in at 2 p.m. Pacific. Until next week, folks, I'm Nick Geber. Hope you'd enjoyed the show. And just remember, that's go to Twitter at World Soccer Radio. For everyone here at World Soccer, for everyone here at Fifth Street Sports, I want to thank you. We'll speak to you next week.